rather a lifestyle choice.
Bringing this up because Dawn, when she was telling the story in her car today about her living in her car for the last 3 years, she said, I was telling my assistant, and when she said that, I said, oh, wait a minute. It changed my whole vibe of what I was watching, because ain't no goddamn way she got an assistant.
She saw people living in vans and RVs and welcomed the idea of doing this, Dupree said. Can you imagine? The whole world was feeling sorry for Dawn, thinking she was homeless, while Dupree was suggesting she actually chose this life. But this is where it gets interesting. While sharing her story, Dawn mentioned having an assistant named Nisi, who was one of the 3 people supporting her through tough times. Alan, who once publicly bashed Dawn and labeled her a spoiled, offered her a job with Hilton Brands. The job not only provided free medical benefits from day one, but also gave her paid time off to continue her music career. Wait, what? The same man who claimed she ruined her career and got...
Now, it all gonna make sense to you at the end of the show. Stick around to the end of the show, and I'm gonna show you why red pill community is important, especially for us black men. Passport bros up. You guys get your passports. Stop playing with these hoes out here. It'll all make sense to you in the end. Y'all are gonna get it once I explain to you why the red pill community exists.
Her kicked off R&B Divas LA was now offering her help. This left everyone scratching their heads. Was this genuine concern or a move to control her narrative? What makes this story different is the history between Dawn and Andre. Their marriage ended in a toxic mess, filled with shocking allegations and public drama. Andre once accused Dawn of being part of swinging websites and sleeping with 17 men in...
Now, like I said, stick around, because the truth is coming out. This woman is a high-priced whore. Like I said, this shit is going to trigger some of you, because some of you haven't got the red pill yet. Some of you men, especially you black men in high society who make over $100,000, who got side pieces and shit, you guys don't like it when a man who doesn't make $100,000 come up here and tell you them bitches are whores. It's coming out. Stick around and listen. Just pay attention, and it's all going to come to a conclusion in the end.
1 month. He even claimed he orchestrated her reunion with Anne Vogue, only for her to blow the opportunity. So why would he suddenly want to help her now? Was he trying to redeem himself? Or was this another manipulation tactic? Andre insisted that her stubbornness was the real reason she ended up in this situation. Can you imagine? The man who once accused her of being the stupidest person he ever met was now acting like her savior. And this is where it gets really crazy. Dawn's viral video confession painted a picture of a woman who felt abandoned and misunderstood. She blamed her mother's anger for forcing her out of the house during the pandemic, but her family had a different story. Insiders claimed that Dawn's behavior and refusal to accept help pushed her loved ones away. Even her former En Vogue bandmates remained silent on the matter, leaving fans wondering if there was more to the story than Dawn was revealing. But the craziest part? While Jermaine Dupri and Andre Allen's words raised eyebrows, Dawn continued to defend her lifestyle. I felt free living in my car, she said. It was like a camping trip. Yet, her emotional breakdown in the video told a different story. People began questioning, was Dawn truly embracing her freedom? Or was this her way of masking deeper pain and regret? With all these twists and turns, the truth became more blurred. Was Dawn a victim of the industry, misunderstood by those around her, or simply unwilling to let go of her pride? Dawn's assistant, Nisi, stepped forward with her own version of events. You won't believe what she revealed. Nisi claimed that Dawn wasn't lying about her struggles, but was too proud to ask for help. According to Nisi, Dawn had opportunities to find stable housing, but her trust issues and fear of being judged kept her from accepting them. This is where it gets interesting.
That's a lie. That's a lie. And I'm going to prove it to you in the end of the show when I demonstrate to you why the red pill community exists, why the passport bros exist. It's a lie. The woman at the beginning of the show told you the black community is the only community that house these women and protect them. These are the same women that will accuse you of being abusive when you ain't put a hand on them, because they know people are going to sit up and attack you. It's a lie. This woman is sleeping in her car, being passed around from man to man, and don't nobody want to wife this woman up. Vivica Fox, same way. Who's finna invest in a 60-year-old woman with a BBL? Who's finna invest in that? Who's finna invest in Mia Campbell, who's a drug addict and done porn tapes? You got to understand, we men like exclusivity. And some of you women don't know what that is. Exclusivity is when another man can't touch you. It don't have nothing about it. It's nothing about being insecure. We like whores, but whores have their place. Our wives have their place. We're gonna honor, respect, and love our wives, and we might throw you a little penis on the side if you're a whore. The problem is the other communities, white, Latino, Asian, they get it. The black community is the only community trying to uplift these women who are whores as somebody special, as queens. Get the fuck out of here. This is why my ratings has went up on my show. This is what brought me back. Because if y'all want to hate me for saying what I'm saying, I don't care. We don't care. Just like Stephen A. Smith said, we don't care. As long as you don't put your hands on me or try to kill me, I don't care. Let's continue on.
Niecy admitted that Dawn's decision to live in her car wasn't entirely about freedom. She felt safer in her car than she did around people who she believed betrayed her, Niecy said. Can you imagine? A woman who once ruled the charts with En Vogue, now finding comfort in a cramped car because she couldn't trust those around her. But here's the craziest part. Niecy claimed that Dawn's assistant role wasn't about money. I wasn't there for a paycheck. I stayed because I cared about her, she added. But here's where destiny took an unexpected turn. Andre Allen's job offer wasn't just about giving Dawn financial security, it was about control. Reports surfaced that Andre wanted Dawn to publicly apologize for the allegations she made against him on R&B Divas LA before accepting the job.
You damn right. Ain't no telling what she said about this man. You out here on swinging websites, getting your back blown out by 17 men in 1 month, and then you accuse this man of what? Talking shit to you? I ain't never heard about him putting his hands on you. Damn right he talks shit to you. You his wife and you out here whoring. He wants an apology.
Makes this story different is that Andre wasn't offering help out of kindness. He wanted to clear his own name. Dawn, being the proud and stubborn woman she is, refused. I'd rather sleep in my car than bow down to a man who tried to destroy me.
And the black community is going to uplift this. It's going to uplift this. Listen carefully to what I'm saying, people. The black community, not the white community, not the Latino community, not the Asian community, they're going to uplift this. Oh, she's strong. She's strong. She ain't bound down to no man. You a whore. And you accuse this man of being abusive to you probably. You a slut bucket. Let's continue on.
Reportedly told a close friend. And guess what? This rejection only fueled Andre's anger. He started leaking old stories about Dawn's behavior during their marriage, painting her as unstable and difficult to work with. Fans were left divided. Was Dawn truly a victim of a toxic ex-husband? Or was she refusing to take responsibility for her own downfall? As the controversy grew, Dawn's supporters started a social media campaign, urging fans to stream her old music and help her financially. But the damage was already done. The world had already seen her vulnerable side, and the music industry that once adored her now watched her struggle from the sidelines.
The business, motherfucker. The Daily
Like I promised you people, I'm finna show you. I'm about to show you, clear some of this smoke out. Like I promised, I'm about to show you why the red pill community exists. Okay? I'm gonna give you a brief demonstration of why the red pill community exists. Let's get into it. For those guys that ain't been a part of the red pill community, I've been red pill before I even knew red pill existed. I can give you stories about one time a woman stayed out all night after I put her and her kids into a 4-bedroom house. She got mad at me because I told her 14-year-old son to go out and cut the grass. He didn't say anything. He ran upstairs and slammed his door. His mother called herself getting mad and saying, "Leave him alone, I'll cut the grass." Then had enough nerve to come back and ask me for some money to get him to go to school on a school trip. Then she turned around and cheated on me with another person. She saying she spent the night with her girlfriend. I don't believe it. So she tried to strike up an argument with me to take the blame off of herself. So what I did was I waited until the house across the street came open, used my savings to move into the house right across the street, and I sat on my porch drinking coffee as I watched the constable knock on her door and evict her and her kids out that house. I've been red pill, which is why a lot of people don't really like me. I've been red pill. I've been took the blanket off and let these women know, you can't play in my face. It's not gonna happen. And a lot of people don't like that. So now I'm finna show you why the red pill community exists and why my show is taking off. This right here is 100% of the men in America. This is 100% of the women in America. Pay attention for all my red pill guys out there. This is 10% of the women in America. These are the most undesirable women. These are your 3, 4s, and 2s. Your 2s, 3s, and 4s. We're going to put that right there for a second. This right here represents 90% of the women. We're going to put this right here for a second. This represents 100% of the men in America. Sometimes you got to demonstrate to people in order for them to get it. This is why the red pill community exists. 90% of the women are chasing 10% of the men. 90% of the women in America are chasing 10% of the men. Let's look at these men for a second. 10% of the men in America make over $100,000. 6 figures. Most of the men in America make anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000 a year. If you make anything less than $100,000, normal women are going to consider you a bum or broke. 90% of the women chase 10% of the men in America. Okay? Now, in this 90% of the women, some of these women are 8, 9s, and 10s. These are the Vivica Foxes. These are the Darren Robinsons of the world. These are the Lisa Rays of the world. Some of these women represent 5s, 6s, and 7s. Okay? We're going to set that right there for a second. These men right here, from the time they leave, these men right here,
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read, your source for news, politics, sports, and all things trending. Here's
these men right here, from the time they leave high school until the time they're 30, have to deal with 10% of the women. Follow along with me now for all my red pill guys out here. 90% of the men in America have to deal with 10% of the women. These are the men who are your construction workers, your truck drivers, your school teachers. We have to settle for 10% of the women. These are the most undesirable women in America. These are the women who sit in front of a stove because they're so big they can't stand up, but they got 4 or 5 kids running around the house. Somebody's getting them pregnant because these 90% of the men have to date 10% of the women up until they're 30. Now let me tell you what happens at the age of 30 for us men. These are 90% of the women. These are 8, 9s, and 10s, 4, 5s, and 6s. Like Kevin Samuel said, there are no 7s. What happens at the age of 30? 50% of these women come back. Remember, 90% of the men have to deal with 10% of the women. Remember that. 50% of those women that didn't want to deal with you from the age of high school to 30 come back to the hood. They got babies, they got problems, they've been raped, they've been whores, they done porn, and we got to deal with these women. And they treat us like shit. 90% of the men, by the time they turn 30, are just becoming a part of society to the point where they're making money. So now these women need somebody to help them. So they come back after dismissing 90% of the men for 30 years. Now these women need our resources because they're struggling. Remember, 10% of the men deal with 90% of the women because these 10% of the men have over $100,000 a year. So when these men get done with these women, they usually find them a wife. And they send all the rest of the whores back to the hood. So now you got 90% of the men, they got to deal with the 4, 5s, and 6s and the 2s, 3s, and 4s. Okay? Half of these women got issues, they got mental issues, they got problems, but they need help. And they will use you up. They will step on you because they're trying to get back to the rich men that they were used to dealing with. But those rich men don't want them. You're a whore. Go back and find you a truck driver. Find you a construction worker. I don't want you. I done used you up. Me and my friends, we done had sex with you. So guess who they go back and find? The average guy, the construction worker who's now coming into money. The average truck driver who's now coming into money. Now, let's get to the divas. This is going to blow y'all mind. Let's get to the divas. 8, 9s, and 10s never come back to the hood. Remember what I said. For 30 years, 4, 5s, and 6s, and 8, 9s, and 10s chase 10% of the men. Okay. By the time they reach 30 and they hit the wall, some of these women come back. Not the 8, 9s, and 10s. The 8, 9s, and 10s are like Don. Don refuses to be with a normal man. Any guy who's a construction worker will be glad to take a woman like her. Any guy that's a truck driver will be glad to take a woman like her. Oh, she's a famous singer from En Vogue? Yeah, I'll marry her. She don't want that. She rather deal with a married millionaire and be his whore than go and find her a normal man. Her ex-husband tried to give her a job as a woman that works at a hotel. She refused. Why? Because she feels like she's above that. 8, 9s, and 10s never come back to the hood. They'd rather be somebody's concubine than come back to the hood. Look at Vivica Fox, 60 years old, unmarried, went and got a BBL. She's a part of this. You see how the dots connect? You see how I connected the dots for you? 4, 5s, and 6s, and 8, 9s, and 10s. These women are the type of women that chase millionaires and rich men from the time they leave high school until the time they're 30. During that time that they're chasing these men, they're being used and abused, they're being raped, they're being on drugs, they're being porn stars, and then about the time they hit the wall, half of the women come back. They got babies, they got 3 or 4 kids, they got mental issues, they got trust issues. They give you black pills. If you don't know what a black pill is, look it up. Half of these women come back to the hood. When you ain't seen a woman who's a 4, 5, or 6 in 10 years, guess what she been? She been laid up with some football player somewhere, giving him babies, and he been treating her like a whore. So when she finally leaves him, she comes back to where her mama stay at, and you see her, and you be like, damn, is that such and such from high school? Okay, I'm finna holler at her. So when you holler at this woman, she got 4, 5 babies, she got issues, she using you for your money to help you take care of kids that ain't even yours. These kids ain't yours. She's struggling, living in her car, and you got to deal with this. And people in the black community expect you to deal with this. And if you buck against the system and you tell these people, man, I'm not dealing with that whore, they get mad at you. This is what's going on in the community. And the 8, 9s, and 10s, they never come back. That beautiful girl you saw in high school, she leaves, goes off to date NFL players, but you would never see her again. You might see her on TV, like Vivica Fox, telling all men that if they make less than me, I don't want them, and this and that. But you never see these women again. These women are somewhere being slutted out by a millionaire. Because in her mind, she's still too beautiful to come back to the hood. Now the 4, 5s, and 6s, they come back. They ain't got no choice. They come back. By the time they reach 30 and hit the wall, they come back. But the 8, 9s, and 10s, you never see them again. They don't come back. But you could best believe they somewhere being somebody's whore. It might not be a poor man's whore, but there's somebody who's a rich man's whore. And this is what's going on in the community. This is why the red pill community exists, because men for the last 30 years have been telling society it's an imbalance, especially in the black community. White community, Latino community, Asian community, they don't put up with it. You liable to see a beautiful Asian girl or a beautiful Latino girl with an average looking Latino guy and they broke. But she love her man. Like that woman said at the beginning of the video, you got ratchets in every community. But the other communities, they don't put up with it. If you a whore or you a ratchet, go be somewhere else. And guess who they come to? They start hanging out with black women. Acting just as ratchet as a black woman. This is a problem. I hope y'all learned something from today's show. This is the Daily Read, and I'm out.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
Bringing the business.